now. There we go. So it should be up, and I'll tweet it out and everything. But yeah, absolutely, it was. You're right about storylines, and I mean the 78 with that weird strategy to start with. So it was like, will this work? Nope. And then the 18 that was hilarious. On I don't know if you were able to hear the TV guys or see it, and they're like, Kyle Busch is going to need a caution in order to. Oh, there's a caution. And they said they said within the next 3 laps, and they couldn't finish their sentence.
Yeah, we were following it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. They were just telling the viewers, hey, this is what's going on, and then boom, done. Well,
that's why, it pays to have good people in the booth who know, kind of what scenarios could be playing out and what could happen and what it would mean. So
that's right.
That's a good job on them.
What's up, Brandon Carl and Jumpy Bob? One last time. No, sir, we'll be here all off season to entertain and
by God and all the disciples.
It's going to be as usual our off season ish show.
Yeah.
Others don't do it, but hey, we'll be here. We'll doesn't bother us. We can fill an hour of talking about anything. Let's see. Mick Rose, what's happening, Mick? Good to see you, man. We all 3 of y'all who we've shouted out today on the thank you patrons. So thank y'all so much for that, and we'll I got a little segment for that. Kelly, what shirt are you wearing today? I saw the top of a logo there.
One of my James Hinchcliffe shirts.
Oh, nice, cool.
Yeah, big Hinch fan. Cool. I feel like I can be a fan because I don't cover IndyCar, so I play the fan card over there.
There you go, perfect.
Man, I'm a big fan of the Hinchcliffe and Alexander Rossi podcast that they do. I can't even remember what they call it, but I love listening to it. I
haven't listened to it yet. I need to get on that. The problem is I have a list of 17 podcasts I'm subscribed to, so I always fall behind.
I know that feeling.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I I can identify that very well because I think I follow 37 podcasts or something or whatever.
I need to go in there and count. I'd be curious of what I'm up to at this point.
Well, here's the weird thing is I listen to music when I'm at work because I can't listen to podcasts because that distracts me, and I'll stop work for an hour and then I'll go, crap, I need to be working again. Sherwin can multitask that one, but my understanding is Sherwin can't listen to music because that gets him dancing and grooving.
I don't understand why I can't listen to music, but I can listen to a podcast. I listened to a great one today with Lance Armstrong and Paul Cauthen, who was the guy that did that really awesome duet with Cody Jinks when we lost. When we lost what was his name?
Chris Cornell.
Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
And so they did a great podcast, and I listened to that today. It was awesome.
Yeah. So the only time that I have to listen to podcasts is on my way to work and on the way back, which for me is 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back. So 30 minutes a day plus, or times 5 days, and that's all I got. But I also, I'm listening to music then too, and I don't know. That's my time to talk to myself. So I don't know if other people do that. Do y'all talk to yourselves driving down the road and stuff, out loud, having full conversations? I mean, I think crazy people do this, but at least I confine it to my own personal space.
I have a weird traffic thing. I think we should talk about it while we're actually on the podcast because it's the most nutty traffic thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's funny because podcasts were not a big thing for me until I started working. I think I've told you guys this before. Until I started working for NBC, because I spent a lot of time at home. I wasn't on the road all the time. And I was pretty much on a desk job. So when I was working for NBC, I had to be at the computer for, my time slot. And I was trying to find ways to stay focused while I was on the computer the entire time. So that's how I got into podcasts. That was late 2016. And what's funny is, like I said, I subscribe now to all these podcasts, and I like to listen to them when I'm working, like when I'm sitting at my desk still nowadays, and I pop them on because that's the easiest way for me to run through them if I'm not on long car trips. But the problem now that I have found is that I spend from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. normally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays. I spend 9 to 12 in the morning listening to Sirius because I listen to the Busted Open radio show. That's the wrestling show, and I'm addicted to that show now. So now I listen so much to that. I get backed up on my podcast. I get backed up on my TV shows. I get backed up on everything I could be, having on the secondary screen I have here while I'm working, and it's just I'm a mess.
Have you asked them to go on that show yet? Like, you should be on there. Why not?
They don't need me. They don't need me. They have the best in the business with Bully Ray and Mark Henry and Tommy Dreamer, so I just get a kick out of listening to it. My pipe dream, maybe not a pipe dream, but one of my newest little goals that I have is to start a wrestling podcast of my own, because there's a fan base there. And I've talked about it with somebody, and I don't know. Maybe that's something we're both keeping in mind. Maybe we can make that happen. That'd be cool.
Big overlap. I watched wrestling. The last time I watched wrestling was it at? It must have been at Darlington or Atlanta. No, it was at Atlanta with Jeffrey Whitler. So a year and a half ago at this point. And I think Sherwin had already went to bed or whatever. We'll call it that. And
they call that passing out.
And I had the laptop, but it only has like an hour of battery. And the latest wrestling came on, and he has all the credentials. He logged in and everything. We're watching it on my laptop all the way up until the laptop goes out, and then we're watching it on, I think, my phone. Like we put it on the phone, and the phone had still like 90% of battery, so we watched the rest of it there, and it was. You know what? I'm not into wrestling at all, but I love people who are passionate about stuff. And he was, like, all the intros, he was bam, bam, bam. He knows everything that they're even saying and everything. He's ready to flip tables over and stuff. This was Hulk Hogan's comeback one. So whenever that would have been, I guess, February of 2017. 2 years ago,
February, I think.
Yeah. So it was really cool to watch it with him. If I went downstairs right now and watch it, I would just be like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. But when you're with somebody who's that passionate and stuff, that was really cool to watch. So maybe we'll watch some wrestling at some point, Kelly. I'm not against it. I just it's not my thing. But if it's somebody's thing, I can get excited.
Hell yeah!
So let's go live. Let's do this.
All right, let's go.
Kelly, you ready?
Yeah. To everybody who's watching on YouTube, I just want to say it's been a very long day. I promise I have at least showered, but I know I look kind of like a crazy person right now. So just
we're the two mustachioed guys. I think you'll be just fine. At worst you'll fit right in. Just as a reminder, Kelly, this might go dark on you for about a minute. And you won't be able to hear us or whatever, so keep that in mind. And but we can still hear you. So if you're either typing or you go, "Hey guys, I lost you. What's going on?" That'll be on the show, and we don't edit that out or anything. So that's on you. All right, Sherwin, you ready?
Yes.
All right, Kelly, you ready?
Yep.
We are recording now. Welcome, y'all! That is right. This is a Pregame Engineering Tailgate Air Racing Podcast, episode number 171. Today's November 19th, 2018. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace. I'm in the PTM Podcast studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Happy Turkey Week, everybody!
Happy Turkey Week. This is awesome. This is going to be a blast. We are breaking down the Homestead race. We got so much to talk about, so much to do. It's going to be awesome. And we've got a fantastic guest, PhD, by the way.
For
So
sure.
she'll be joining us here shortly. Before we get to her, y'all know what the deal is. This podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. You go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month to get that free koozie. Best part is, every cent this year, we're donating to sponsoring drivers. So join the PTM Posse today. Be a part of the sports you love. This week's show is brought to you by our official sponsors at the $5 and up per month level. Those are Laura Henshaw, Aaron Bearden, Robert Keplinger, Tony Salt, Kobe McClam, Eric Kettner, Ryan Kiefer, Marilyn Vest, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Brendan Crowley, Kathleen McDonald, Stacey Wright, Brandon Carl, Billy Workman, Rika Porter, Jumpy Bob and Les Miller, Tommy Witt, Mark Wiley, Julie Bosley, John Pearson, Eddie Greer III, Junker Motorsports, Jason Rudd, and welcome to the PTM Posse this week, David Mullins.
All right, David. What's up, bro?
Right. Dude, so today is on Patreon is the thank you patrons. Hashtag thank you patrons. And so earlier today, I went on a text show and I'm like, hey, I'm taking over the
patrons.
I'm taking over the handle for a couple hours. He goes, yep, go for it. So tried to send out to every person who has ever donated to the show and been a part of the PTM Posse. We want to thank you all so much for doing that. It has been an absolute blast. And this year, I think we're up over $1,400 now for next year. Last year was $1,200 something. This year we blew it out of the water there. So we're hopefully, maybe we'll do it again next year too. We still got another month too, dude. So
yeah,
it's awesome. It's awesome. We'll figure out where all that's going and everything, just like we did last year. But thank you all so much for that. So thank you, patrons. And next, Sherwin, folks might notice if they're on the YouTube, we are our chins are a little cold today, huh?
Oh goodness, very cold. Very, very cold because it is Movember.
It sure is.
For us, that means it's not no shave November, it's mustache November.
That's right.
And we have lots of fun reasons and good reasons to celebrate men's health. Me personally, my grandfather died of prostate cancer. My father has survived prostate cancer.
By God.
So I am happy to wear a mustache in honor of my family.
Attaboy. I love it. And I mean, that's exactly why I'm wearing it too. Also, just to, have that 2 or 3 weeks of being able to sport one and whatnot. So here's a funny story. Our board of directors decided to have a meeting this week, today and tomorrow, in our office. And so here comes Rusty waltzing in with a fat mustache with our CEO from New York, our director or our chairman of the board. I mean, everybody's here. And, hey, what's up, fellas? How y'all doing? And just sporting the rat.
Mustache.
Right. So, y'all, next week, I might not have a job if you're looking for we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, that was kind of funny finding that out today. But with that, y'all, we want to bring on our very special guest. I didn't even write an intro. She needs no intro.
I don't think so.
PTM PhD Racer Magazine. Kelly Crandall. Kelly, what's happening?
How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing great. You can probably hear that in our excited voices to get this podcast in. It's so much fun this weekend.
Well, that was like me on my podcast last night from Homestead. Apparently I was pretty jacked up.
Yeah, you were super jacked up, and it was awesome.
So, Kelly, before we get started, you know how we start this thing. With the season having ended, I'm not expecting that you're like winding down with a giant liquor drink or bottle of wine or crazy beers or whatever. But I expect a little bit of like your nice wind down drink here. What are you drinking on tonight?
Oh my goodness! No alcohol.
So
yeah,
cool.
The off season just started, so you got to give me some time. And I've been busy today, so getting some work done. So I only have I have a little bit of a Coca-Cola left that I've been drinking on pretty much all day. So that's actually the first soda that I've allowed myself in a while. I've been doing pretty good cutting it out. Been drinking a lot of water, but at least something interesting for tonight.
Hey, well deserved.
No alcohol yet. We'll get there.
Well deserved. I am holding up a Coca-Cola in front of the camera right here because I am also drinking Coca-Cola. It happens to be mixed with way more Jim Beam than
way more
than there is Coca-Cola in that drink. But there is Coke in that drink, and Yes,
So
ma'am?
listen, I mean, it's all about product placement,
Yep.
and it's kind of fitting because Joey Logano is a Coca-Cola driver, and he was spraying it all over last night. One of the many things being sprayed all over. So we're just doing our part to stay in race mode.
I loved when he held up. Somebody gave him a 2-liter or whatever it was, and he's like, "That's a big ass Coke." He starts drinking on it. That was good. So
There you go.
yeah, good times. So Sherwin, what are you drinking on? I see that.
Well, I'm drinking on the 420 G13 strain beer. For all of those, what's the word? What is the appropriate word? For you folks that enjoy the Netherland, the marijuana, this is a beer that is flavored by hemp. So it's
That
quite
stuff-
tasty, and
If you open that beer in mixed company, the cops will be called. You know what I mean?
Pretty
Like
much.
that beer smells strongly of a certain strain of thing, but
yeah.
it's.
I mean, it
it's
smells like marijuana, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest.
Oh, where are we getting to? So, oh, it's good to talk with everybody. I'm seeing folks on the YouTube. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming along. I've got Rogers there. Beast, what's up, Beast? Brandon Carl, Jumpy Bob, Mick Rose, and JoJo I saw on there too. Thank y'all so much for joining and having fun and sticking with us through the season. Hey, before we get too far, Sherwin, I think so. I won't call out who it was, but on the YouTube, somebody said, "Hey, good to see y'all for one last time," and we go, "No, sir."
No, sir.
We'll be right back at you next week, and it will be,
Yeah.
if you think we drive it into the ditch during the season, I mean, during the season, we still got NASCAR to talk about. Off season, it just gets stupid. So come and join us,
Oh, yeah.
have some fun, and be sure to grab you a liquor drink of some sort.
Yeah,
So,
it'll be in the ditch hard.
Kelly,
for about 10 weeks.
the season is over, but I'm guessing you've probably still got a while before you can even rest with all the stories and everything. How was Homestead? Let's start there for you.
For me, I mean, it was great. I really love that racetrack. I love the weather down there. Getting to see everybody that normally, I guess I should say the more people who come out for championship weekend and instead of just us regulars, it's always a nice mix down there. The energy is just always it's a lot of fun because it's the last weekend of the year, but it's championship weekend, so the excitement is always really good. So yeah, Homestead has become one of my favorite races to go to. I've been there every year since 2014, except for, well, I guess I should say I was there 2014, 15. I missed 16 because I didn't go because I was working for NBC Sports. And then this year and last year, and it's become it's become one of my favorite races to go to just because it's just a really, really fun weekend.
That's a place, Sherwin, that it's on the docket. We got to figure this one out because as good as that race was, we'll get into it here in a minute, but you got to imagine the whole weekend is that crazy. Is that fun? Being able to see, and if you go in, if you take that day off of work and you get to see 3 championship races. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no kidding. We're it's only a matter of time before we get down there to do that. I think one of the things we wrestle with in the fall for us, Kelly, is we're college football season ticket holders here in Atlanta, and whether it's a good result or a bad result, we try to do our best to support our home team. However,
True.
I'd love to go to Homestead.
We went to the Georgia Tech Virginia game this past Saturday, and it was a 3:30 game, which is the ideal time for a college football game. That's when you want the game. And then we won in overtime. We pre-gamed. We gamed, and then we post-gamed. We went to the bar, and so I watched yesterday's race from my couch in a horizontal position the entire time, but had an absolute blast doing it. But yeah, that was this past Saturday was amazing. We'll actually get to who we saw this past Saturday in a bit. But before
Ooh.
we get anywhere else, let's start to tear it down. Let's do this one last time. And that's not the last sound effect, Sherwin, that I've got, because I believe someone in this room said Joey Logano for the win. I believe that person is sitting right across from me. So for the last time this season, Sherwin, this one's for you. Enjoy the horn. Oh, he did it. He called it. And if you rewind, go back and listen to the show last week, I was
PTN 170.
I was slightly upset that you called Logano because that's who I wanted really bad. But hey, rules are rules.
Well, either one of us, we would have won there.
Yep, rules are rules. You got it. That was awesome. So, Kelly, I thought I was trying to be creative when as soon as like he crossed the finish line, I already had it in the Twitter. I was like, Joey won the war, and I was like, yeah, look at me being cool. And then like 14,000 other people said it. So, but this is why I'll never be a writer, because I think I'm profound in something, but no, I can't think of anything nobody has already said. So with that, tell us, give us your thoughts on the end of that race, on Joey winning the war, what that means.
Oh man, I've got to try and sum it up for racer.com for my column tomorrow as well. We got down, I would say the last 50 laps, 4 different strategies started to unfold. So you had 4 different races going on depending on which title contender you were watching. Joey clearly had a car for the short run. Mm-hmm. Martin clearly had a car for the long run.
For the long run, yeah, sure.
I think in the end they were evenly matched. Kevin had a car for the daytime, and when the sun went down, he wasn't really in contention. I mean, he was up there, obviously. He was top 5, but you could tell that, okay, he's going to need something to happen to really get him back up to the front. Kyle needed a different race.
Different car, different race.
He was not the Kyle Busch. That car was not, I think, what anybody expected it to be going down there. Certainly thought it was going to be stronger. So again, the end of the race is coming. Kyle starts playing the strategy game. Okay, yep. It's like, well, if he gets the caution, does that help? Is that going to play out in his favor? But if it's a short enough run, does that help Joey? If the caution doesn't come out, that's going to cycle Harvick to the lead. Is he going to be out front and be able to keep the clean air, or is Truex going to catch him with the long run car? So I was really fascinated the last 50 laps because there was just a few different storylines unfolding, but you could tell that those 4 were all going to be up at the front at the end of it. When the caution came out, I turned into a race fan for a little bit because yeah. I started to get nervous. And I got nervous in the sense of like that nervous energy, that nervous excitement. And I was sitting next to Deb Williams, who hopefully many people know her name. She's an absolute legend in this sport. And then across from me was Jerry Jordan. You guys know Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
And amongst ourselves, I forget who else was sitting over there, but there was 4 of us, and I'm just leaning back in my chair, and like I could feel my hands were sweaty, and my knees are bouncing up and down when I get anxious, and I turned into a race fan because I was like, this restart and this finish is going to be something, and that's the words that I used. I said, this is going to be something. I mean, they were 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a restart with 15 laps to go. The championship, it's the season's finale. I mean, this is what you, as a journalist, I mean, you can't write it any better. Yeah. But it was exciting to watch as a fan too. I mean, I had both hats on, so it was. I'm getting all jacked up again. It was really, really good. It's just really good.
I read
really,
the show
really
notes
good.
here. I said, was this the best Homestead race yet? And we talked about this in the pre-show a little bit. And I had said, here's the thing. For all 4 of those drivers to be 1, 2, 3, 4 on that restart at the end meant that they had to do all kinds of strategy going on beforehand. That early strategy with the 78 where he didn't pit and they were trying to figure that thing out, maybe that didn't work out quite right. The 18 was a Hail Mary. That was just hopefully we'll get a caution. And with 2 laps to go before they, needed to pit, they get their caution and end up front. And so with all that stuff combined, every part of that race was compelling to me. There was never a time where it felt like they were just riding around in circles or just trying to posture or anything else. And with the other folks going on, I mean, Denny Hamlin was up there. Kyle Larson, obviously, the whole race just, trying to play a bit of a spoiler. I was intrigued the entire race, and I thought that was the best Homestead race I've seen since this format started. Sherwin?
I don't know. I don't know if it was the best Homestead race, and I wanted to jump in there because I know you keep saying that. I think what happens is every year we go to Homestead and we have great racing and we have a great finish, and we automatically think, like, it makes us forget about, like, what happened, the previous year, because it seems like we're always one-upping ourselves, right? So I don't know if it was the best ever. I think it was just under this format, from 2014 to 2018, under this elimination-style format, we've gotten great racing and great finishes to this championship. And Homestead, I mean, that track, that surface, the sunlight into the evening, it's just perfect for racing. And then the surface is aged nicely. Of course, you can run all over the racetrack. That is the perfect combination for good racing.
Whew, I don't know how you could say it any better than that, to be honest with you, because I think you're right. I think the way Homestead has played out the last couple of years, especially the way that surface has aged so well, it allows for multiple different disciplines to choose their line and whatever line works for them. And it's produced great racing. It rewards teams that are willing to take a gamble, like Logano's team did, the 22, to set their car up for a short run. Yeah, and it was obvious that Truex and his crowd, they set their car up for a long run.
Right.
And if they all had to set it up the same way, who knows who would have actually been the fastest. But and Harvick was somewhere in the middle on that, but it made it to where we didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what, as a fan, you want out of a race. You don't know what's going to happen.
Rewarding the people who take the chances, I think, is a big thing for me. With Larson up on the wall the whole time, I mean, he was class of the field till. He wasn't. Until he did what people who run up against the wall do sometimes.
Yeah. He either hit it or he cut a tire. We don't know which, like if they were combined. We don't know why he cut that tire down. It may have been because he hit the wall. It may have just been because of body flex.
I want to talk about Joey for a minute in terms of starting out. I don't even know where to start this conversation. This is so cool to me. Starting out where maybe he got in too early. And then Gibbs saw something and picked him up, and then we're talking about sliced bread, but we're also talking about, me and Sherwin have been talking about him Joey last place for a long time, and then this whole season was about the big three, 20 combined wins among the big three, by the way, over half the races. So you have the big three and Joey, and the big three came out the last place three.
Yeah.
and weird? So it's so crazy to me. Not crazy. It's who I wanted to pick in this race and who you did pick in this race.
It's why we think this thing is so random fast. Like it's random fast. Like we appreciate all these guys that can go really fast all year long, but there is still some randomness to it.
Well, and there's any given Sunday stuff. So Kelly, where you? I mean, to me, that was really, really. This is one of the coolest. Champions that we've seen in a while. The with the big three this year, and I mean we've been saying big three since what Martinsville 1
April or May.
Yeah. So what do you think?
So again, it's I have to write my column for tomorrow, and a lot of what we're talking about is going to be in my column, all about how everything was about the big three. That's the nickname we came up with, right? I mean, that moniker was used in stories, it was used in radio, it was used in press conferences, and then there's Joey. When it comes to the story of Joey being champion, first off, I think regardless of who would have won between the four, there was going to be good stories. And I think it's obvious, what those stories would be. When it comes to Joey, first off, a first-time champion is always a good story, right? I mean, seeing somebody win something for the first time, that's never going to get old. Whether it's winning a race for the first time, winning your first Daytona 500, winning your first Indy race, whatever it may be, it's certainly a championship. That is a fantastic story. Joey, though, I mean, not just on track his career when it comes to, flat out being rushed to the Cup Series because he had to replace Tony Stewart. I mean, and struggled. I mean, he will tell you, he said it last night. He said it to me last year when I did a long form story on him, on his career, because he was making 300 starts last year. I think I'm actually going to repost that story, even though it's a year old. But he will tell you, I got humbled real quick. And I came into the series, winning Busch races back then, and you come into the Cup Series, you go out in your first few starts remember when he ran the second Home Depot car, like when they first gave him some Cup starts?
Yes. The O2 car.
So he was supposed to qualify at Richmond and got rained out. He didn't qualify at Richmond, and then but they were fast in practice, and then he went to another race and ran that race, and he's like, man, this is gonna be easy, right? Like, I'm gonna move to the Cup Series. This is gonna be great. Didn't happen, and he'll tell you he got slapped in the face and brought right back down to reality. Then you lose your ride. You have somebody of the caliber of Roger Penske come call you up and have belief in you, and Brad Keselowski, who's also vouching for you, who, some people be like, oh, well, it's Brad Keselowski, but drivers watch drivers, right? And they come calling, give him a second chance. You pair him up with Todd Gordon, who's a fantastic crew chief. And they've been now in They've been in the championship race 3 out of 5 years, I believe it is. I don't know off the top of my head how many races they've won. Now they got a championship. They've won the Daytona 500. And, that's the on-track stuff, right? And then off the track, Joey is one of the most unselfish people I've ever come across. And whether it be his charity work that he does, his foundation, if people don't know what it is and don't know what they do, I know it was briefly touched on over the weekend. That is a fantastic charity of what they do for children and families. He was given the Comcast Award on Thursday because of his charity work. Saturday night before the championship race, he's out buying 100 families, dinner for Thanksgiving. I mean, he's just off the racetrack. You hear people all the time, especially fans, right? Because you only see what you see on TV. Sometimes you'll hear fans be like, well, I hear he's a nice guy off the track, but on the track, I just don't like him. That's Joey. I mean, off the racetrack, he's just a fantastic guy. And then, like I said, you tie in the career accomplishments and the career ups and downs. As a journalist, I love Joey Logano as a champion because there's so much to this story.
Yeah. And
well, so with Todd Gordon, I believe this is either their 27th or their 28th race win.
Probably, yeah. I know they won. They were paired together in 2013, I believe it was, when Kenseth went. So Kenseth would go to Gibbs. I think it was in 2013. They only won one race that year. Then I think they started winning handfuls of a season after that. So that makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, they've done a lot together, obviously, and this year will speak for itself, well above anything else. But no, it's really cool. It's really cool to watch because we've seen Logano catch all manners of ration of poop, as you've spoken.
Oh, and I've
to.
dished it.
And we've dished it too. We called him Joey Last Place for a decade.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but
well
now,
before this
but
podcast
now
started.
we're like solidly behind him. It's like, yeah, this kid he deserves the fact that he deserves people to respect him. That he's won races. He has a championship. Holy crap!
I'll close with this. Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Joey has 21 Cup wins, so 2 of those would have came with Gibbs. So I guess he and Todd would have 19 together.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. So I was a little bit. I overstepped my bounds there just a bit.
It's funny. I also want to say, listening to you two talk about the crap that you would give him and whatnot. I have to admit, so Joey, he would have been full time in the Cup Series in 2009. Driving, taking over for Tony.
The Home Depot car, yeah.
Yeah, it was either 2008 or 2009.
I think it was 8.
Was it 8? Yeah, I think it was. I don't know. Everything runs
8 or 9.
together.
No, I think you're right. I think it was 9. I think it was 9. It was.
Yeah,
it was the first year we went full time with the car tomorrow.
Yeah, because I think Tony announced the team in 2008. But anyway, so Joey's first Daytona 500, I think he crashed out very early on, and I will admit this. I remember saying, and I don't think I was on social media back then, but I know I said it. I said either to myself or to the people I was watching the race with, I said, well, that's a sight we'll be getting used to this year. Because it was one of those things where you understood that he was being rushed into this position and it probably wasn't going to end well. And, and again, I mean, he had a very rough couple years in the series.
I'll tell you what, he wouldn't have been there without being where he wouldn't be here today without being in all those plays. Like, all these things add up to him being a champion driver yesterday. And so it's crazy the I don't know, 6 degrees of separation or the butterfly effect or whatever we're calling it of hey, if this didn't happen, if that didn't happen. So it's amazing to me how all that comes together like that. But let's was there anything else that I wanted to say on this other than, I mean, I thought it was interesting he said he had no regrets this season, and I mean that was very obviously a hey, what do you think about if he hadn't made this move to win the race 2 races ago against
the Truex
move.
Yeah.
Then where is he now? Well, he crashed out at Phoenix. He wouldn't even been in this championship race.
Wouldn't even have scored enough points to be there. So
yeah.
So let's move on, and we'll go to second period here with I think this is interesting to think about the what does NASCAR look like next year, because we have a bunch of lasts. We don't have Furniture Row anymore. We don't have Jimmy and Chad. We don't have Jamie McMurray, Casey Kane. We don't have Matt Kenseth. That list, I could just keep going and going. What is next year?
No Trevor Bayne?
No. Okay.
All right. That's what's going to make people laugh.
Sorry, I shouldn't have laughed. We've got pictures of Trevor Bayne. He's a very nice guy. Anyway, you broke me, dude.
Sorry. My bad.
Kelly, take it away.
This is how this podcast works.
Kelly, take it away. What does what does next year look like for you? Is it a lot of the same? What storylines are you following that might be different from what we saw this year?
I mean, I guess the rules package is probably going to be first on a lot of people's lists. I mean, that's a big change. I mean, it's not like it's just for a couple races. I mean, it's going to be all year. This is a new package that we're dealing with. So I know there's certain people who are very up in arms about that. So that's probably going to be the number one thing. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of driver movement. Furniture Row not being out there. I don't know if we'll really feel that one, because Cole and Martin are still going to be there, right? And I know that maybe not everybody on the team has a job, but the driver and crew chief are always the ones who get the most recognition and the ones who are the faces of a team. So having them still be around, I don't know how much that story will linger. I think the beginning, the first month, 2 months maybe, where it's going to be something that we're all talking about. And then, every time Martin's in position, it'll probably be like, oh, no, by the way, this is where he came from. But I don't know if that story is going to linger because, again, they're still here, Martin and Cole. I think when it comes to Jimmy and Chad, I mean, Hendrick Motorsports has so much work to do, and they both told me that last night. I mean, they have work to do as a company to get better. They have work to do with this package. Obviously, Jimmy's going to be repping new colors with a new sponsor, so that's going to take some time getting used to. I don't know if that's going to be like him and Chad working together. I don't know if that's going to be a big story either, because I think the focus will be on what Chad can do and will be doing with William. I think a lot of the attention, the focus is going to be on the results over at the 24 team and the results as a whole when it comes to Hendrick Motorsports, because Chase performed great. He won 3 races this year. He made the playoffs, but I think for a lot of us, that's kind of overlooked in a sense because Hendrick Motorsports as a whole was just not there. So I guess again, just like every year, I mean, drivers changing and things like that those are big stories. But I think for the most part that the package is probably going to dominate the conversation. It's probably going to dominate the conversation.
Yeah. It's funny, having been to the Hendrick garage and to their facility and all that. I don't know what the other facilities look like, but they can't be any more sophisticated than the Hendrick facility, and so they have to be thinking that, or they. I don't know. I have to figure that they're going to be back unless they divest or they throw less money, or if I only saw a facade or something, and hey, this is all Willy Wonka land, and behind the scenes this is all crap. But I don't think it was.
No, that's a company. I would find it very hard that they stay like this for many years, just because. I mean, you look at all the changes they've made over there already. I mean, personnel changes, changing things up with how closely the crew chiefs and engineers work together. I mean, literally changing where they are. Like where their offices are in terms of like how close they want them working together. I mean, that they're doing stuff like that, right? I mean, they're making sure everybody's working together. I mean, personnel changes, people come in, people go in. Now you're swapping Chad to go over with William. I mean, they're doing a lot of stuff that it's hard for me to believe that they're going to be horrible for 2, 3, 4 years down the road. I don't think Hendrick Motorsports is built like that. They're not built to struggle for long periods of time. I mean, granted, yes, we've seen them have their ups and downs, but they've always come back. I mean, to me, this is not an organization that once they start going downhill, they're just lost forever.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't know what else do I have to say. Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right about that, Kelly. They're not built for failure. They're built for success. So we will see what will happen going forward.
Absolutely. So let's go to we've talked about the Cup race. There were other races this weekend, as it turns out. Xfinity, I'll tell you what. Talk about dethroning the big 3. Let's talk about Cole Custer, Daniel Hemrick, and Christopher Bell, who all 3 are, I mean, just what can I say? The legends of the Xfinity series, and Tyler Reddick comes in and steals, if you will. Now, I shouldn't say steals. Steals it. He is. I mean, Tyler Reddick deserves to be in that conversation. I mean, if you're watching Xfinity races on a weekly basis, you're hearing his name every race. They're going to go to, what he's doing, what's going on there. But just in terms of big names, Custer, Hemrick, Bell, to again dethrone that big 3, if you will. I thought that was amazing. So Kelly, thoughts?
Oh man, I almost made an ass out of myself with that one. Gosh. So So Saturday afternoon, watching qualifying, and I'm sitting in the lunchroom with some other folks, and somebody asked me, okay, well, who do you have today? Who's your pick? Who's your championship pick? And I said, well, Christopher Bell is Christopher Bell. He's in a Toyota. Cole Custer, based off of how practice and qualifying has gone, could very well wax the field again. And, Daniel Hemrick's the underdog, but, I'm really interested to see what he can do. And then I said, the 9 car has no chance. I said those words.
The 9 car.
And I apologize to Tyler Reddick.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think Tyler Reddick, what makes Tyler Reddick winning the championship so cool is the fact that Tyler Reddick has shown that as long as you get to Homestead, anything can happen. It's a brand new ball game. Yep. And that 9 team was prepared for Homestead. They brought a fantastic race car, and obviously the track fit into Tyler's driving style. And I honestly believe he drove an unbelievable race. Not just because he bounced it off the wall a few times and was able to keep going, but he didn't make mistakes other than that. He was on his marks. Stayed out of trouble. When he was coming through the field at points. Didn't have any problems on pit road. And what was most impressive is you're sitting there and you're watching, okay, he's got the lead, and then he's driving away. And I'm not just talking about like a second, 2 seconds. He drove to over 5 and over 6 seconds at one point. And I was in shock. I mean, I kept looking because the scoring monitor was above my head. I kept looking up to see every time he crossed the line, I would look up and then wait for Bell or Custer, whoever it was, to cross the line, because I wanted to see what the intervals were every lap to see if he was gaining or losing. And every time I looked up, I'm like, holy cow! I mean, the only time that any time was shaved off his lead was when he scraped the wall, and then a lap later he put it all back on again. He drove. I'm in awe. I mean, he drove an unbelievable race. And again, I think that's just a lesson in all you have to do to get to Homestead. Once you get to Homestead, if your team is ready and you are put in that position, just go out and let it rip. And that's exactly what he did. Like I said, I'm still in awe. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable to watch in person. It really was.
I love watching the fact that the way our YouTube works is it's 2-3 seconds behind. I was watching like all your animation while you were describing like what you were talking about there the last 2 minutes or so. Like, I love it. It's awesome. Like,
see, this is like the good and bad of you guys having this live videos, because I talk with my hands. I've always talked with my hands my entire life. Even if I'm on the phone and people can't obviously see me on the other end of the phone, I'm still talking with my hands. So it's funny.
We do it too.
I don't know if it's a Crandall thing, but.
No, let's say this. So I'm a Nervous Energy guy. I've got this Jordan Anderson rubber band thing that I've just been playing with down here. So we've all got like our little ticks and stuff. At least our tick isn't like cussing indiscriminately.
Right.
But
no F-bombs.
Yeah.
No, it's good. No, it's great. I think it's great because we get to see you like sort of react to it, and you're like, this is this is the way I feel about
so cool.
What's going on.
Yeah. He made me eat crow. I actually I have an interview with Tyler tomorrow, and I think I'm going to tell him that, and I'm gonna give him his chance to let me eat crow, because I thought that was pretty fun. I mean, yeah.
That's gonna make.
He said he had no chance.
You should tell him that he should come on the PTM.
No, that will make a fantastic interview.
Shameless plug.
If you opening it cold open with I've got Tyler Reddick on the phone, and Tyler, I said the number 9 was no chance. Your reaction.
Yeah, Tyler's a good guy. I have a pretty good relationship with him, so I think he'll get a kick out of it. But I'm really curious to just I'll let him give it to me. I can admit I was wrong. That was something, and you know what? That again, he put on a hell of a performance, so it's like I can't even backtrack out of it. It's not like I can say, well, he lucked into it. I mean, he went out there and kicked butt.
Gave it hell. Yeah.
I believe between Sherwin, me, you, and who do we have on? CJ? None of us.
CJ Wolliver.
None of us picked Tyler Reddick.
On Fox.
We had 3 out of 4. We had a 75% chance of randomness of picking anyone, and none of us picked Tyler Reddick.
That's true.
So that was I don't know how to blow the horn in the opposite direction or whatever, but we totally missed out on that one. Let's go to fourth period here on the report card in the trucks. Brett Moffitt bookended. Well, kind of bookended the season, not a Daytona win, but we saw him win in Atlanta, and we were
so
down.
Cool.
It was
that
so
was our
neat.
First trip to Victory Lane.
Yes, got to be in Victory Lane. Got to be there when he was burning out. I took a picture that, like, here's the thing, y'all. I'm not a photographer by any means, right? But if you
but you took a really good picture.
If you take 1,000 pictures, one of them will look like a photographer took it. And I've got one picture in my Rolodex or whatever you're calling it at this point of it was the best picture. And I took 1,000 pictures that weekend, and the best picture I took was from the pit boxes looking back toward the stands with Brett Moffitt doing the burnout, and the lights were exactly in the right position and direction, and it was at night for this to be the most perfect picture of that burnout. So from that point on, I'm a Brett Moffitt fan, not just because he won the race or great race car driver, but because I also took the best picture in NASCAR that I've ever taken, and so I tweeted that out. But point is, we saw him win there, so there is that Sherwin, for me and you as fans, there is that bit of like, hey, we were there. We saw this. This was really cool. And not only that, he's in Victory Lane. He pulls in. He's doing his thing. We're right up next to him. So we've got this sort of whether he thinks he'll never say that there's an he doesn't know who we
never
are.
Actually.
But point is, he goes on to win the championship. How cool is that? I was super excited as he crossed the line, and I was going nuts.
I flipped my couch.
Yeah, flipped the couch. It was a flip the couch moment. Kelly, what do you think?
I mean, I don't think anybody can really be surprised. I mean, he's been one of the best trucks all year. I thought Johnny Sauter was going to put up more of a fight, to be honest with you. I don't know if I necessarily picked him, if I would say I picked him for the championship. I expected it to come down between Johnny and Brett, just based off, again, I mean, they seem to be the two best trucks all season. So yeah, I'm not really, like I said, I'm not really surprised. And again, the thing with the weekend is all 3 champions were brand new champions. So it added, every single one just added to a great story. Brett is another one that I could sit here and opine for minutes about, his career path. People probably remember the races he ran for Michael Waltrip Racing. Had an improbable top 10 finish at Atlanta a couple years ago, was Rookie of the Year. Got a few races with Red Horse with Red Horse in the Truck Series.
Yep.
Everywhere along the way, every time he thought that he was settling in someplace, the rug, essentially was yanked out from underneath him. So, a very talented race car driver, but again, he's had to do it the hard way. Hasn't had anything handed to him, has fought to try to find some backing and support. The craziest thing is that, he goes out and wins the championship and doesn't have a job yet for next year. He told us at Media Day that right now he has no, his plans, he really doesn't have any for next year. And I know I tweeted this, but for those who didn't see it, when I went out Friday night on the grid before the race, I had heard that it's possible that Hattori does something different next year. Not necessarily because they don't like Brett, obviously, but they're if somebody comes along with money, I mean, that team certainly, as we all know, needs money. So, again, another crazy story when it comes to talented driver, works his way up, wins a championship, nice guy. And then, his second part of the story is, hey, he may be out of a job again. So, gosh, Brett Moffitt's going to have one hell of a book one day.
No kidding.
Yes, he is.
No kidding. So a stat that I saw, this is one of those things that can't be true just because it's kind of cool. And I don't know if this has ever happened or if it has, when this ever happened. And Kelly, you probably know, but this was news to me that every manufacturer won, right? So Tyler Reddick in a Chevy, Joey Logano in a Ford, and Brett Moffitt in a Toyota. All three won this weekend. I thought that was kind of neat. Kelly, do you write anything on that one yet?
No, I haven't written anything on it. I certainly noticed the trend. I don't know off the top of my head if that's the first time that's happened in a weekend. I would assume it's not. I could be wrong. But it's cool. Pretty cool just because I think the last couple years we've gotten to Homestead and, normally Toyota takes 2 of 3. Because, Ford in the Cup Series, Ford has not obviously won since 2004. Jimmy's stretch of Chevrolet championships. In the Truck Series, Toyota dominated for years. Now GMS is with Chevy, so that's brought them back to prominence. So yeah, that I know that was a cool little trend. Another thing that I found cool was, and I had a few questions about this on Twitter. So NASCAR changed the Rookie of the Year rules for this year. So Rookie of the Year is determined just like overall point standings. So Rookie of the Year standings are the same as where you are in regular standings, meaning, if William Byron earns 600 points in the overall championship standings, well, he has 600 points for Rookie of the Year. If Bubba Wallace only earns 580 points, he's got 580 points for the rookie standing. So, in other words, they just matched it up this year to where it was just easier to follow. In years past, it was only a certain number of races counted, and then a committee was involved, and so on and so forth. It was interesting because on the Xfinity side, I could see the trend developing where there was going to be certain rookies over other rookies who are going to make the playoffs. Well, when that happens, your points get reset. You go from just your regular points to, I think you start the playoffs with like 2,000 points or whatever it is. So, Austin Cindric made the playoffs, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and then you're watching, and then you got 2 rookies who make it to Homestead. So, Rookie of the Year came down to, again, who finished ahead of the other drivers. So I know a lot of people were kind of upset because they're like, well, Christopher Bell had the better season, but he's not Rookie of the Year because Tyler Reddick beat him. So I thought that was a very interesting first year for the rookie system to be decided, is that the Xfinity Series kind of showcased, I don't know if you would say it's a flaw, but it kind of showcased that, hey, overall points are pretty important because that not only decides your championship, but it decides Rookie of the Year too. So I don't know. I don't know if anybody else cared about that, but I got a kick actually watching that battle all year long.
So as a segue, for me, we do 5 periods in the report card plus a recess. And 5th period, I said, you know what? I'm going to put some pressure on Kelly here, but light pressure here. And I said, let's kick it over to Kelly. And what stories from this weekend? Because, I mean, I think the biggest story, obviously, I shouldn't say the biggest story. The biggest story, obviously, is Joey Logano. But what other stories from this weekend would we have missed? And what have you seen that you kind of go, I need to, I don't know, write about that or tweet about that, or that's something that people haven't thought of that went on?
Man, yeah, you're putting me on the hot seat.
I can play music in the background while you're thinking.
Honestly, nothing yet. And I think it's because I will admit I have been so caught up in championship stuff. So, it's only Monday night. I haven't really kind of decompressed and digested everything. I mean, yes, there were potential final races for Matt Kenseth. I think that's a pretty good guess that he's done. McMurray might run the Daytona 500.
Yep.
So yeah, there's stuff like that, but I have been so wrapped up in championship stuff that I didn't really see anything happen. I mean, when it comes to Homestead, I didn't really see anything happen or be talked about that was kind of that kind of caught my attention. It was yeah, I mean, again, I can't speak for everybody. For me personally, there's just a lot of attention on championship stuff, on, the team owners gave their press conference. Steve Phelps gave the state of the sport.
That was great, by the way. If you haven't read back with Steve Phelps doing all that stuff, that was really cool, I thought.
It was, so...
It was cool that he did it.
Well, so Steve is very articulate. He's a race fan.
That's great.
He gets racing. He gets business too. The thing about the press conference was, first off, nothing Steve said was anything different than what he has already said when it comes to rule packages, potential schedule changes, Brian France's future, whether sponsorship works in NASCAR, all that stuff was the same, his same talking points that he's pretty much told us the last couple months. I don't know if that just means we need to be asking better questions. So nothing was earth-shattering there, but I want to give Steve credit because that press conference was so different than the ones we've gotten the last couple years with Brian France. And for anybody who has seen those, has either watched them on NASCAR.com, listened to them on the radio, or saw if they're on YouTube, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here when I say that Brian was normally very combative. Kind of would avoid questions in a sense.
No, I mean,
didn't necessarily speak. He would go off on kind of little tangents. Start answering one question and go a different way. So Steve did a great job to come in there and answer questions. Was very articulate, very well spoken. And again, even though he didn't give brand new answers, he did a very very good job, and it was very professional. And it was nice to have a nice, calm press conference, and I think we all respected that.
Do you think Jim France? Do you think Jim France will shake Joey Logano's hand at the ceremony? Sorry. I don't know if Jim would be on stage, and I don't mean that just because Jim would be slighting anybody, but right.
to understand Jim, he very much likes to stay out of the spotlight. So I would not be surprised, and I don't want anybody to take it the wrong way, if say a Steve Phelps or a Mike Helton or somebody was up there presenting the championship stuff, just because that's really not Jim's style.
No, that's great. I love that. So, with that, let's go to... I
have to ask real quick, because you guys were watching the TV coverage. I, of course, was outside, and I haven't seen it yet. Who presented... who was on stage Sunday night with Joey?
I don't know. I had to pee really bad. And I got up and left.
Oh, my God. I don't know either.
I didn't watch the trophy ceremony, actually, so I don't know.
I obviously was outside, so by the time I came back in, it wasn't on the TV anymore. So
I think it was Mike Helton, but I'm not 100% positive about that.
And
Yeah, I think that was what most of us were thinking, is that it was either going to be Steve or Mike. So I'm just out of my own curiosity. I'm going to go back and look. So,
Let's see.
but again, that's
Joey
nothing. I don't want people to think that, oh, that's just showing Jim Francis just like Brian. Jim is just very he's not about the spotlight. He or Lisa. That's why you don't see them as the face of the sport. That's where Brian.
I'm pulling it up here. It looks like, who on earth is that?
Show me.
Oh, it might have been, was it Mitch Covington from Monster? It might have been him. I think I saw him on the screen, the big screen out on the TV. So it might have been Mitch.
Yeah, that.
All right, here, I'll unmute.
I can't remember
here.
what Mitch looks like, but
Let's go ahead and bring in NASCAR President Steve Phelps for the trophy
Steve Phelps.
presentation.
It was
There
Steve
you go.
Phelps. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, now we know.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and he looks like a face of NASCAR. You know, he looks like the guy. I can dig it. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I wrote on here for recess. I wanted to talk about this because I got to get it off my chest in the show. I think we've talked about it with several other people, but we haven't talked about it. I don't know. I can't remember if we talked about it on the show, but I got to get it off my chest since Kelly's here with us. In that, my most embarrassing moment of 2018. Now, y'all, I've done some crap in 2018, right? That I wasn't too proud of, or I was like, oh, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to, or like.
Well, I'm glad this is the way you started this. Is you owning you being embarrassed
Because you've got plenty? Is that where you're going?
I've got way more, I'm sure.
My most embarrassing moment of 2018 was Kelly Crandall, who is journalist, has worked for NBC, Racer Magazine. I mean, all this stuff. Like, I know we're sitting here talking. I mean, I feel like we're friends and all that. We're cool. But, there is still the air of like, hey, we got to be, Kelly's calling on us. So Kelly wanted us on her podcast, right? And that is new to us. Like we got holy crap.
I know where you're going with this.
A real journalist person wants us, like two idiots, to be on
idiots,
their podcast, right? And I mean morons here. Like who does this? And so here's what happened, y'all. Is Kelly comes on and she we're on the Skype just like we are right now, and she says, I'm having trouble with my recording, and I'm not sure if I can record this because on Skype and stuff it's kind of weird. Something's acting up. And Rusty comes in. I'm talking in third person here because I don't want to own this. I don't want to say I.
This is you, Rusty.
This is me. And I say, don't worry about it. We've done, at that point, it was like 160 episodes, whatever it was in. Like,
Yeah,
I'll
much.
record this, and we're good. We've done that. How many? And so I'll give myself slightly props here in that we recorded 160 whatever episodes without issue. You know what I'm saying?
None. No issues.
No issues with recording or anything. I'm like, oh, Kelly, no problem. I got this. I will hit the record button. We're on this. I'm an IT guy. I got a computer science degree, highest honors, Georgia Tech. I am on this. Everybody else can go jump in the lake. I've got this thing done, right? So I hit record. We do this whole thing, and Kelly is interviewing us. It was the highlight, I would say, of my podcasting career.
Oh
is
no, our.
I'm speaking for me, but I'll yeah. So Sherwin can give me crap now because it was his too, and the fact that we were able to, not able to, but that someone would ask us to be on their show, who matters. Sorry for everybody else who we've been on their show. Yeah. I'm doing a terrible job here.
No, it's
I'm offending.
They ought to figure it out by now. Like
offending everybody. But the point is that we're on this thing, and I tell and with 100% confidence, I said, Kelly, do not worry about this. I got this, right? I got this. I've done it 160
You can hear her laughing
times.
in the back.
I know. And what happens is that in that recording, my hard drive that's like a terabyte big filled up. And my computer said, no, we're done.
Absolutely not.
And it turns out, here's the irony or coincidence or whatever you want to call it. It's the 160 episodes of PTM podcast that filled the damn thing up. And it was the episode of us not recording our show, but recording the show with Kelly that filled it up. And when I told Kelly, I got this, no problem or whatever, and the whole thing ended, just like it will end tonight, and just like I will press stop on the recording. I pressed stopped on the recording, and the recording went, sorry, Bubba.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, you're done. You're done. And ended up sending, like, I was like, I mean, I worked on this for an hour, then sent Kelly what we had, and Kelly was like, this just doesn't, like, she listened to the whole thing, and it cut out in multiple places, and the whole thing was corrupt, and blah, blah, blah. And so my most embarrassing moment, Kelly, I want to admit this. This is like, what do they call it? Cathartic? What's the word? Like, it's
cathartic.
Good. It's penance. It's
Cathartic,
whatever.
yeah, therapy.
I feel good being able to tell this on the air as opposed to, like, just telling you in person or whatever. I want to say this publicly, that's the most embarrassing thing that has happened to me this year so far, right? so far. So I've still got a month and a half. But point is, so far, that's the worst thing that has happened to me. So thank you, Kelly, for actually coming on the show after all that. After the worst thing that has happened to me, embarrassing. I could have walked into 12 women's rooms by accident and not been as embarrassed as I was that night. With that, so thank you for hanging
Oh man, I appreciate you taking all the blame for that because it was supposed to be my show and I couldn't even do it properly. So I feel like I should be the one feeling bad about that.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that. You know, if you had said you can't do it and then I said we can't do it, we'd have just rescheduled, no problem. Everything would have been fine. But the fact that I was like, Kelly, I got this. Like, this is on. I am in control tonight.
Y'all gotta see the video. She's like, I got it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Confidence.
Spoiler alert, narrator says he don't got this.
Love it. Love it. So with that, let's go to the new follower shout out. We got Kathleen Cassidy at KATH_CASS. Kathleen, she's into social media marketing. She loves racing, hockey, music, and football. Sherwin, who's next? You following?
Oh,
sorry. Crap. It's cool. I'll do it. Jeremy Korst at KORSTJ, current CEO of GBH Insights, a marketing research and strategy firm, formerly of Microsoft and T-Mobile. Holy crap, dude. This dude's important.
Yeah, it is kind of important.
He's an avid fan of fast cars going loud, as it turns out. And Sherwin, we do have to shout out to Mr. Ricky Mass. Talk to us about what Ricky Mass did this weekend.
Man, it was so great to see Ricky at the football game on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Where y'all parked at?" And I'm like, "We're not in the parking deck, man. We're on the bridge." He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "No, the bridge is like a park, like where we tailgate."
Yeah.
And so
it's got grass and everything on a bridge.
It's got grass and everything. It's like this whole new thing. Ricky Mass, son of Rick Mass, the racer.
PETM PhD.
Yeah, PETM PhD. Joined us on Saturday afternoon for a couple of cold beers. He was rooting for the Cavaliers. We were rooting for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. That's fine. But it was great to see him.
Yeah. Yeah. And we came out on top. So
yeah, we won.
All's well that ends well. So, Ask PTM Micro says, Micro's at GoDucks42_Mick. He says, what's the best drink that you've discovered this season in the What You Drinking segment? And I'm not going to lie, Mick. For my answer, I thought about this for a few minutes, and Sherwin, in his right hand right now, has the answer to that. And not only is it the Sweetwater G13 IPA, but he's holding it in a Lap Traffic podcast koozie.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Give
him hell, Lap Traffic.
Shout out to Brandon Crowd, Lap Traffic. And I think that's the best beer that I've tasted, or the most surprising / best, etc. Sherwin, what do you think?
Ooh, that's a tough to argue against that. New Belgium also has a one of these strain deals that smells like the ganja, as it were. 420, shock that they would figure out how to make a beer that smells like weed. But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. We're real pro all the stuff.
Doing things. So, with that, let's, for the last time this season, we're going to gas it up. And I'm only gassing it up because we're going to Thanksgiving. Kelly, Thanksgiving plans, what are you up to? What's your deal?
Oh man, so just got home from Miami today, and then Chris and I are turning around tomorrow and going down to South Carolina to spend a couple days with his family. So we'll be down there, hanging out, hopefully relaxing for a little bit, and then we're coming back up here on Saturday. We've got a live show that we're going to for something to wrestle with, actually, the podcast. Right. They're doing a live show in Winston-Salem, so we're going to do that. So really excited about that. So yeah, that's the next couple days for me.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Sherwin, you going down to Fayetteville, hang out with Rents? What's your story?
I'm going down. My sister's flying in with her husband on Friday. So I'll be going down there on Friday. And we'll be doing Turkey Day on Friday.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah. So I love, for the past several years, I've loved smoking a turkey on the Big Green Egg, and even before that, I was smoking it on the old thing. I just loved me a smoked turkey, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's only one dressing on this earth that I think is Thanksgiving dressing, and that's my great-grandmother's dressing, and I have the recipe for it, and I always make it. So I figure if I'm going to smoke the damn turkey, and I'm going to make the damn dressing, why don't y'all just come over to my house and eat the damn food? You know what I'm saying?
I tell you what. So this is what I love about the tradition that is Thanksgiving and how everybody does it different is, my dad is from San Francisco. We've probably talked about this on the podcast a bunch. He likes stuffing, and he likes to do his turkey. Mm-hmm. He wants to do his turkey with stuffing, and I love stuffing. I don't even give a damn about dressing. I don't care about dressing. I don't want dressing. So I love that my dad is like super excited about doing his turkey with his stuffing and his mashed potatoes. Ain't nobody can do mashed potatoes like my dad. So I'm super stoked for that.
It's awesome. So with that, Sherwin, I believe you have for one last time this season. A Strange with, should we call it Strange with Stang, or should we call it Strange with DiGilio?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I'm offending
different
anybody.
With DiGilio, or
different with DiGilio?
How we're doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to
either
throw
something.
shade or cause any drama here, but it's been a while since we've done a Strange with Stang. It flows really well off the tongue. Ashley, appreciate you sending it in. I have no idea what this is. Sherwin's checking his phone right now to see. So what ditch are we getting into, Sherwin? In the ditch with DiGilio for sure.
Yeah, in the ditch with DiGilio for sure. Okay. Headline.
Okay, all right.
Quote, disgruntled Starbucks employee drives through front of former place of employment, says, I'm just so tired. So what was the most dramatic exit to a job or workplace setting you've witnessed or were party to?
Most dramatic exit of a...
so that was like a setup for a question.
So we were in Douglasville, Georgia. My dad was working out there. And this is, by the way, this is off the cuff. I had no idea this was happening. So our waitress came out and took our order, and she was totally cordial, right? She was, hey, what can I get y'all, blah, blah, blah. And so kudos to her and kudos to, I guess, the rest of the wait staff for, like, hiding the amount of tension there was between these people. Because when she took our order, she went back into the kitchen. We heard pots and pans flying.
Like
blam,
smashing
blam.
into faces.
We heard F words. We heard Z words. I don't even know what a Z word is. Yeah, who knows? But we heard that, right? And the next thing we know, somebody else comes out and goes, folks, I'm going to be your new server tonight. I'm going I need to get your orders again, by the way. Our last server, well, not going to lie, she no longer is employed here. So that, all this commotion in between all that, it was fantastic. It was a great ordeal the whole way around. But that was that was the most dramatic exit that I have witnessed. Perhaps Kelly, have you had some time to think on this for a moment and let us know?
Well, I've already told you guys how I was wrong and admitted my stupidity when it came to the Xfinity Series title fight. So I will admit that I don't know if it was dramatic. It was dramatic to me. I certainly felt like I made it dramatic. So I have not had many real jobs in my life, I guess you could say, real life jobs. I've been writing for a long time, not always getting paid, but I've always treated it like a job. I've pretty much done that since I was in college. I briefly worked at the library when I was in college. I think I worked as a cashier at Englishtown Raceway Park in New Jersey for like 3 seconds. So I haven't really had many real jobs. However, the one serious job that I've had was I was a daycare teacher. On two different occasions. Once when I was in high school, and then when I graduated college and moved back home, obviously while searching for writing jobs and trying to figure out how I'm going to get into the racing business, I worked at a daycare and I was a teacher. So in 2013, I was starting to attend more races and really start to go on credentials and try to figure out how to be a part of the media, gain real world experience, all that fun stuff. And I had put in for some time off because my family, we had a trip planned to go to Georgia to visit family, and that coincided with the race. So I, put credentials in. I was going to go cover the race, and we were going to go on a mini family vacation for a week or two, whatever it was. And I knew that I probably was not going to be granted this time off, just things that were happening at work. It wasn't likely that I was going to get this time off, and I don't want to throw dirt on anybody, but for reasons I knew, okay, that's probably not going to happen. I said, but if it doesn't happen, I'm just going to quit.
Right.
Because I felt serious that I needed to go to the racetrack. I needed to gain experience and network and try to figure out a way to make this my career. I had been at this job for, I think, 3 or 4 years at this point. It felt like I wasn't really, I wasn't going anywhere. I was like, I don't want to be stuck here before I know it for 5, 6, 8 years. So I prepared a letter, my letter of resignation, my 2 weeks notice, I guess, as you could say. And I warned my fellow teachers, the ones that I was friends with, that I was close with. I said, all right. I said, if I don't get this time off, I said, I'm quitting. I'm not going to work here.
Out of here.
This is not happening. And so sure enough, I think it was early in the day. They told me, hey, your request was denied. Not getting the time off. And I was like, even though I knew it was coming, I was hot. Like, I was mad. I was pissed, to be honest with you. And I became crazy white Jersey girl, and I'm talking with my hands, and I'm like, this is baloney. I'm going off on all my friends, and I'm like, they don't think I'm serious. I'm telling you, I'm gonna leave, blah, blah, blah. So on my lunch break, I walked past the office, and I'm pretty sure the director at the time was on the phone, so I just put it was folded, no, they had no idea what it was. I just placed it down, walked out, went on my lunch break. And I said, one of two things is going to happen. I'm going to go back to the building, and they're going to have locked me out of the building and not want me to come back right then and there. Or it's going to lead to just uncomfortable conversations or whatnot. But that was how I gave my 2 weeks notice. I went back. I did get back in the building. I fulfilled my 2 weeks. They eventually acknowledged that I had actually given the letter, like with 2 days that I had left. And yeah, that was, I went to the racetrack. It was a great weekend. And once I was no longer employed, I actually ended up going to a few more races that season. That was at the end of 2013. And then in 2014, I was pretty much on the road full time.
You're in Homestead, like you said.
And yeah, I was with Popular Speed, so I was getting more opportunities there. I moved to North Carolina in the summer of 2014. So yeah, less than a year after quitting. So it was one of those things where I said, I'm going to do this. And I did it. Had nothing lined up. I had no job. I mean, I really wasn't getting paid for my writing at that time. And yeah, so it wasn't dramatic. I mean, I think at the time it maybe felt more dramatic than it was. I probably make it sound a little maybe more dramatic than it was, but it was just it was something I needed to do, and I was mad, and I was like, here it is, and just walked out on my lunch break, and I was like, okay, that's it.
I love it. Just Sherwin, can you top that?
I don't know that I can. I mean, the only thing I could say about like a job separation was, just standing outside of the building that I worked in and being like asked for my ID or like my card or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then like my boss going, this is what I can coach you through. And, like giving me some advice, But nothing like that. Nothing as exciting as what Kelly was talking about. Like no.
I don't think it was all that exciting. I think I was just, I get very emotional.
Well, I'll book in the podcast.
Yeah.
I'll book in the podcast with the fact that maybe I'll have one of those stories here soon. Because with the stash and the board of directors and all that, maybe they'll tell me I need to run. So with that, some closing words for 2018, y'all. Number one, we don't do this often enough, but we want to thank you so much to Sydney Lett. She once again, all season, has let us share her music with our listeners each and every week. We've had a ton of people ask us, where can we get that song? What's going on with Sydney Lett? And we love to promote her and what she's doing and her generosity in letting us have that as our opening. I mean, holy crap, that is so cool. Not just opening, but closing, and we'll play it here in a minute. Sherwin?
Whew! Yeah. So, I mean, hey, yeah. So go ahead and follow us on all the social media stuff. We've got our personal stuff, Pregame Engineer, Tailgate Mayor, and we also got PTM podcasts on all of the social media places. So.
Right. And before we get all that, y'all, I'm going to say this. We got to see the best racing that we've seen as fans. I believe that 2018 was the best season that I've ever seen. My guy didn't win the championship. Amen. My top 5 drivers didn't win the championship, but you've got to take a step back and go, we are headed in the right direction. If you want to see great racing, this is what the whole deal has been. Kelly, why don't you close us out? Tell us what your thoughts are on the 2018 season and where they can find you and what's coming up next.
It was. I mean, I said that on my podcast last night. It was a really, really good season for many reasons. That in the end, there was a lot of different storylines. Homestead delivered great racing at that racetrack. So for me, I mean, just, look, there's a lot more to come, a lot more news to come. So I'm going to plug the website, plugracer.com. I hope people go over there and read it. I like the off season because it gives me a chance to dig into features and really sink my teeth into some stories and, tell kind of more full length stories. So I've got a bunch already planned out for the off season. More podcasts to come. The one that I'm really looking forward to is I've got a 2-parter coming with Elliott Sadler reflecting on his career. And he was very open and honest about cup racing and things that happened there and going back to the Xfinity series and chasing championships and all that stuff. So I just want to plug the podcast. The Racing Writers podcast is on iTunes, Google, Spreaker. I mean, it's all over the place. So I hope people will check that out. And yes, stay tuned to racer.com because we've got plenty of news to come this off season. And again, I'm really excited to tell some stories, do some in-depth features on people. Casey Kane's one of them. Got a lot of I've canned a lot of interviews for that story to dig into his career since he's now retired, and William Byron feature on his first year in Cup and Toyota's driver development. I mean, just really looking forward to all that in addition to all the news and stuff that's going to come out. So I just want to plug all that, and of course people can find me all over social media as well. So Twitter, I've got a writing Facebook page separate from my personal page. That's where everything is up there. Instagram, I'm trying to use Instagram a lot more and share stuff there. So yeah, I just want to plug all that.
Well, Kelly, we love what you're doing, and do us a favor with I'm not saying that, but with Casey and Elliot, they got a little bit more time. Tell them the old PTM podcast is out there. They're we're hanging. No, I wouldn't put that on you. With that, y'all, let's close this thing out. You'll know where to find us. PTMpodcast.com at PTM Podcast. Y'all know what the deal is. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace at Tailgate Mayor Sherwin.
And I'm Andrew Sherwin at Pregame Engineer at Andrew L. Sherwin on the Instagram. We love coming at you.
We said it earlier, dude. We ain't stopping tonight.
No.
We'll be here next week.
A little bit. Yeah.
We'll be here next week. We'll be here the week after. And the week after. And the week after. We're going to keep doing.
We're like Rocky. We just keep on punching. We're little, but we keep on punching.
That's right. And we said it earlier. Thank you to the patrons. And we don't want to disappoint the patrons or anything. Thank you, Kelly Crandall, for joining us tonight. It's been a blast.
Yes.
Talking about all this.
Go follow the Racing Writers podcast.
Holy crap. So, y'all, we will talk to y'all next week. Don't go anywhere. We'll see y'all then.
Sidney Led.
And we're done recording the audio portion of the show. We're still live on the YouTube. What's up, Kelly?
Hey.
Not a whole lot. Like I said, I still got to write that column for tomorrow, but it's probably going to be familiar to what we just talked about.
No, it's all good. We'll have 75 people listen to this, and you'll have 10,000 people listen to yours.
Yeah, pretty much.
I hope.
No, that was awesome. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah,
it's funny. I've had the YouTube screen up over here on my secondary screen just because I like to see what people are talking about, not necessarily staring at myself, of course, but it's cool to read the comments that you guys get over here of people being interactive. And I was laughing because somebody said I'm not missing much on wrestling, and I was like, you guys underestimate me thinking I don't have another screen up here keeping a side eye on what's going on, right?
Oh yeah.
So this is, I always have felt bad about asking you to join us on a Monday night because I know that wrestling is a big deal for you.
No, it's fine. Honestly, it's fine. It doesn't matter to me. Because I mean, I'm doing other stuff anyway. I mean, I'm normally writing my columns on Monday nights because they're due on Tuesdays. So, and it's perfect because you're fresh off the weekend and you're still thinking about what's going on. You're still jacked up of what's going on. Your memories and your thoughts are still fresh. So, it's fine. I mean, like I said, it's not, you're not pulling me away from anything. So no worries there.
Cool.
It's so much fun. I don't know what to say. Yeah. Thank you. All season, all last season, all the season before that and everything. It's the most fun thing we do. So, what can we say?
Well, eventually we will figure out a way to get you guys on my podcast. And now it's the off season, so it's the perfect time to do it because we can BS about anything. So we just have to figure out a way to do it. So I'm messing around with some programs on my end, and hopefully we'll make that happen before Daytona rolls around.
And I emptied my hard drive. Like we have, we could talk for 12 hours.
Yeah. Kelly, I don't.
Yeah, we'll have to record it on both ends so that if somebody fails, maybe the other person
What's
will
so
have.
I don't think you understand, Kelly, how embarrassed Rusty really was. I know I can do this.
It's my show, right? Like I should be the one responsible.
But I mean, like in terms of like
Sherwin is right here, by the way, because this is my thing. This is what I do.
Yeah,
if there's one thing that I can bring to the table, it's IT.
He was so like, oh my God, he was so embarrassed, and it's fine because obviously we do our shit every week, but like. I felt bad for him. Like I was like, oh man, I can't believe we fumbled this. But he was like so embarrassed that we couldn't figure this out. So
it's truth. It's truth.
Like
no, it's all good. And hey, I need to get back to my column, but I'll leave you guys with this. I'll leave you with a shot at life-size Dale Jr. over there.
Nice.
Frosted Tips Dale Jr.
I love it. Your background is better than ours. It's fantastic. So
yeah, this is the homemade office. So we've got Chris's desk is behind me, and we've got die casts all over the place. Let me see if I can. We've got a whole shelf of die casts over there. So
this is like
die casts and
stuff. This is awesome.
Sam Bast artwork and
oh my gosh, Sam Bast stuff. I almost said shit, but I.
Well, I already said shit, so
no, I was calling myself out for that.
We're already in.
All right,
I'll have to take a picture of everything like up close and personal and post it for you guys. It's
yes,
yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, we actually spent a lot of time going through the merchandise tents and stuff that pop up at the racetrack because I was very curious of what stuff they were selling, and we have added to the diecast collection greatly because they have some good prices. But we've got some cool stuff. I mean, we found, I don't know where we found it, but we've got a Winston Cup hat over there with some signatures on it. We can't figure out who the signatures are, but we've got we've got stuff like that. We've got awesome. Diecast, we've got Coke bottles and bobbleheads, and I've got Steeler stuff, of course, all over the place too. But it's
we won't blame
you
for it.
Little man/woman cave for Chris and I.
The she shed, right? Isn't that the new thing?
Yeah.
The she shed.
I'll have to take some pictures here during the off season.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Kelly, thank you so much.
Can't wait to see you again, Kelly.
This was awesome.
Yes. Yes, you guys too. We'll talk again soon, I promise.
Yes. All right. We'll see you later.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Y'all, if you're watching on the live deal or whatever it is, for joining. That is a wrap on the season, but not a wrap on the PTM podcast. We'll be right back next week. We're gonna mess it up. We're gonna do our thing. It's gonna be as usual. This is our third year at Sherwin, and I think this is our third off season in a row.
Yes.
So
absolutely,
it's gonna get sideways because that's what it does.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do. We're probably gonna have to bring back the bad advice segment?
Oh, bad advice segment. There was we've done what was it? What was the thing where we teach people what's going on but we don't really know what's going on? That was a fun one. Dropping knowledge.
Dropping knowledge.
Yeah.
Dropping knowledge.
Dropping knowledge is fun.
Bad advice, dropping knowledge.
All of it.
All the things.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how fast can you smoke a cigarette? That was one of them. No, wait, that wasn't.
Oh, we've probably done that before, but it's been 20. It's been like
20 years.
Yeah, it's probably
that would be funny.
Yeah, how fast can you smoke a cigarette?
If y'all dare us to do it, hell.
All right. Well, we'll take the computers outside and I'll buy a pack of cigarettes.
My wife
make
will walk.
a really crappy
Oh my
mistake.
gosh! My wife will walk in. Have y'all been smoking cigarettes? And they're like, no, it's cool. It's cool. Blow some damn fragrance around or whatever. Anyway, if you're still watching, God bless you.
Redneck
God bless
noise.
you and all the disciples. We are out of here. Thank y'all for hanging out. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.